Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Welcome to Weekly Roundup. I am your host Fahim Abbas and I am pleased to have been accompanied by Mr. Ali. How are you, Mr. Ali?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you going?
I am very fine. So, as you know that in this Weekly Roundup, we will be discussing important political, social and domestic developments which have happened in our country and also internationally. So, two major important political developments have happened around the globe. One is Afghan crisis and other, as you all know, is Palestinian issue. We will be discussing all these things in the light of sermon of Ustad Muhtaram Sayyid Jawad Naqvi. So, Mr. Ali, starting with you. Mostly, the last week was about Palestine and international media have reported this. So, but firstly, moving on toward Palestine, first we want to discuss Afghan crisis. As we know that Americans are just packing up and leaving Afghanistan, but we know that in the light of history, if we look at Afghanistan and Afghan people, mostly they have remained proxies and they can fight for anyone and they are in very important position in this region. So whoever controls Afghanistan, he basically controls the Middle East and can keep an eye on the arch rivals such as America having arch rivals in the region like China, Pakistan and Iran. So although America is leaving this region, but it is not likely that it will be completely evacuating. Rather, it will be establishing its intelligence bases and it will keep an eye on the region. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, actually, as we all know that America has been there in Afghanistan for nearly 2 decades. Americans invaded along with their allies Afghanistan back in 2001 after the 9/11 incident. And we have seen 4 presidents change in United States during this. It started from President George W. Bush, and then we saw Obama and Mr. Trump, and now it's Joe Biden. They've all promised every now and then that they are going to leave Afghanistan, but it hasn't actually happened. Now we see Mr. Biden, he has promised that United States will be evacuating Afghanistan, pulling out the troops before 9/11 of this year. And what are the consequences for the region? We have to actually look into the scenario.
Yes, as we know that this latest invasion of Afghanistan by the Americans started after 9/11 when American accused Taliban sent Al-Qaeda for the attack on World Tower and similarly on Pentagon. So they invaded Afghanistan, and after remaining here for almost 2 decades, they have now been able to sign a deal with Afghan Taliban, and the last American president, Donald Trump, was successful in signing the deal with the Taliban, and they are now packing up, and they have already been started to leave their troops. But as we know that the whole international media has drawn the attention towards the Palestinian conflict this week, and it is most likely that Afghanistan is turning to be a sanctuary for Taliban and all the terrorist groups which are present like ISIS and other terrorist groups which are present in Europe, Turkey and even in some other Arab and Gulf countries. They are going to be now all gathered in Afghanistan, and it is going to be a new Israel.
Actually, it's going to be the epicenter of terrorism, and it has got a background. And if we see that the whole attention of the media, international media, has been diverted to the atrocities in Palestine, and obviously it's a big issue, but behind the scenes, the thing which is happening is that Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Europeans, Americans, they have been bringing and gathering the terrorists from their countries to Afghanistan. Initially, they had thought that they would be taking this job from Syria, but they were unsuccessful after launching ISIS, and they couldn't do what they wanted to do. But now they've chosen Afghanistan for that purpose. And what we see is that the reason why they are doing it, different countries have got their own reasons. If we talk about MBS, the Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, he wants to transform Saudi Arabia to a modern state or so-called secular state, and he's told media several times that by 2030 Saudi is going to be in a different shape. And we know the identity of Saudi government is the hard lines and the that extremist school
Yes,
of thought,
the
Wahhabi
other
school of thought.
important key players in this scenario will be Iran, China, and Pakistan. Basically, America want to keep an eye on its arch rivals such as Iran and also China. And Pakistan is definitely involved in this scenario because Pakistan and China are involved in this greater project CPAC, which is going to benefit both China and also Pakistan. And as we know that for the enemies of Pakistan, they don't want this China-Pakistan economic corridor process to be successful, especially India. So all these hostile neighbors are keeping a close eye on Pakistan, and Pakistan has to be very vigilant here and has to play a very important role, as Alhamdulillah Pakistani political and military leadership are very much concerned about this, and Pakistani top military and political leadership have also visited Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and then Pakistan top military leadership has visited Afghanistan because they know that peaceful Afghanistan is in the favor of all, especially Pakistan, China, and Iran.
The current government, let me finish what I was talking about, that the reason why they are bringing all these terrorists to Afghanistan is that because they want to get rid of all these extremist elements from them. We are talking about Turkey, we are talking about Saudi Arabia, we are talking about the Europeans, because initially we know that they are the founders of this terrorism, and they actually nurtured all these people, but now they are out of control, and they want to bring all of them here in Afghanistan. And importance of Afghanistan cannot be neglected in the region.
Yes, it has remained very important even during the British colonization age, and now these warmongering people and warlords which are gathering in Afghanistan, and they will be trained and recruited for further activities which they have to perform. Basically, they want to keep this region unpeaceful because to certain so-called superpowers, unpeaceful Afghanistan is in their favor, because if peace is established in this region, then the CPEC and all other, the economic relationship between China and Iran, which a deal which was signed, economic cooperation deal, $400 billion, very important deal was signed between them. It will be successful, and as we know that America is in economic war with China, so it would be a much defeat for America, so-called superpower, as we know that China is rising as a superpower and also in military. So it is very important for Pakistan and all the regional countries to have peace in Afghanistan, because peaceful Afghanistan is in favor of all these regions.
But Pakistan has to be really careful, as we've seen Imran Khan, the current Prime Minister of Pakistan, he has said several times that Pakistan is not going to fight wars of other countries. And I think he should stick to his words, and he shouldn't take a U-turn as usually he has taken in some of his promises. Yes. Because Pakistan, it's all right that you're milking Saudi Arabia and you're taking benefit from them, you're taking the financial advantage, but it's quite, the thing which we need to actually be very careful about is that don't get used by even if it's Saudi Arabia or USA, and we are going to keep our own national interest in our top priority.
National interest must be our top priority, because it is said that there are no permanent foes and no permanent friends in international relations. Rather, it is the national interest. So we must keep our national interest in our view, and then we must devise a proper foreign policy regarding Afghanistan and this region. So this was about Afghanistan, and now as we all know that the major hot issue during the last week was that of Palestine. And firstly, before going into this issue, I must throw some light on the history of Palestine, how this conflict started. Now, when we talk about the history of Palestine, we have divided this portion of Palestine, which we'll be talking about. Firstly, we'll be talking about the history of Palestinian conflict, then the recent atrocities which Israel have done, and then we'll be talking about the role of United Nations and OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and then we'll be discussing the ultimatum solution of this problem. What is the solution of this problem? So one by one we will start. As we know that This latest wave of Israeli atrocities started with the attack on Masjid Aqsa during the holy month of Ramadan, and as we know that Masjid Aqsa is also a holy place for Muslim. So, and Israeli attacked and threw rubber bullets on Muslim during the holy month of Ramadan. And this is neither the first attack on Palestinians nor the last. And whenever we talk about this history of Palestine throughout the 7 decades, there is not even been a single day when Palestinians have not even been, rather they were being evicted from their houses, or rather they face the problem of dispossession, rather they face the problem of apartheid. So these are different problems which Palestinians have faced throughout these 7 decades. So, Mr. Ali, we must first throw the light on how this illegitimate Jewish state was born in the heart of Muslim states, because we know this region, Middle East, is very important. So, what was the conspiracy theory behind that they gathered Jews from all around the world and just installed them in the heart of Muslim world?
And it was actually after the World War I, because the Ottoman Empire, it became really weak, and they didn't have the economy, really stable economy, and the Britishers took it as a chance, and with the help of Arabs and different Arab tribes, they were able to break Ottoman Empire into pieces. And what resulted in this is that they gave power to the tribes who had helped Britishers to break Ottoman Empire. They gave the power in those regions, and which resulted in small countries. The biggest or the worst role was played by the Hashmi family in Jordan, and also the Al Saud in Hijaz. So they actually helped Britishers to do that, and Britishers as well as the key players or the Europeans, what they did, because they were fed up of the Jews, because they are real troublemakers, and they tried everything. They tried to kill them. They tried to oppress them. They tried everything with them, but they couldn't control them, and they decided to bring them here.
All of these things happened, that Jews from around the world, especially after Hitler massacred them, and the so-called Holocaust theory, which was being constructed as in Western world, it is banned. You cannot even talk about this Holocaust. So it itself looks like a conspiracy. So the whole theory is that when the Jews were massacred in Germany during the Second World War, and as we know that all the Jews migrated toward the Palestine, and this land was being purchased by the British from the Ottoman Empire, and these Jews migrated toward the Palestine, and then the Palestinians were evicted from their own homes, and some were sent to Jordan or other Muslim countries, and United Nations recognized Israel in 1947. But at that point, very important incidents happened. We will discuss them one by one. The most important incident was that during that time, Turkey and Iran, which was in its pre-revolution status, it recognized Israel. But the good news is that Pakistan didn't recognize Israel, and Quaid-e-Azam said that Israel is like a cancer in the body of Muslims. That's and true, it must be eradicated. So this was the stance of Pakistan at that point, and I think we must all be aware of that.
Yeah, and actually there are some good things in the history, and there are some bad aspects in the history. When we, as you said, that they were the Palestinians, actual Palestinians who lost their homes in the result of this eviction, they were transferred to the refugee camps in Lebanon, in Jordan, and some other parts of Arab world. In Jordan, actually, it's a part of history that our ex-president or the dictator Ziaul Haq, he was the brigadier at that time. He, in 1971, when the war was going on between Pakistan and India, at that time he was called in by the Jordanian.
He carried out many atrocities in the Palestine.
That's the sad part of history, and which we are ashamed because
moving
of
on
this.
further, when this conflict further erupted, and there was not even a single day in the history of Palestinians when a peace was established in this region. And even some Arab states tried to have some wars with Palestine, with Israel, but instead of throwing the illegitimate Zionist regime out of the region, they even resulted in strengthening this Zionist regime. How did this happen?
Actually, they were sort of artificial wars because they are actually the Arab states. 6 countries, they joined their hands and they fought nearly 6 wars. But we see that there wasn't much will and much power in them, and which these wars only resulted in strengthening Israel, in actually spreading the borders of Israel, and we can see that whole Lebanon was occupied by them.
Whole Lebanon,
the
including
Jordan,
its capital.
part of Jordan, part of Syria, and like a part of Egypt too. Like it was
all these Arab
occupied
states,
in the result of these wars.
Instead of liberating Palestine, they even ended up losing their own territories to the Zionist regime. But then a twist came in the history that initially the Israeli regime occupied Lebanon and its capital Beirut, but then the whole Lebanon was freed. So this was another important aspect in the history of this region.
Yeah, and it was only because of the 3 ulama, the great ulama, who awakened the nation. And we know the consistency of Lebanon. Lebanon hasn't got one major group in the whole country. It's comprised
it is
of different sects.
Society, mainly consisting
it's
of
got
Sunnis,
Shias, and Christians. Only a small portion of Shias, what we call Hezbollah today, they were actually not militarily strong as what we compare to today. Today they've got one of the best defense system, and everyone knows that how strong Hezbollah are. But they were not really strong at that time. But as all the Jews and the Zionists know that, because they are the sons of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and when sons of Ali or Shias
Lebanon was
hit really strong.
Basically due to the resistance movement, which was carried out by the people of Lebanon itself and some groups like
and
Hezbollah,
it resulted
and
actually not only the Israel was kicked out of Lebanon, but also the supporters of Israel, so-called world powers like France and USA, they had to run away from Lebanon too as a result of this resistance, because that was the path which Imam Khomeini had actually told the people of Lebanon, and these ulama followed their wali faqih, and it resulted in that success.
Yes, Lebanon was liberated. Now we are going to take a short break, and after this break we will talk about Abraham Accords, the full normalization deal which was signed between few Arab countries and Israel, and how it is linked with the latest atrocities which Israel have carried out in this region. Keep in touch with us. Welcome back after the break. As you know that before the break we were discussing Palestinian conflict, and we were throwing some light on the history, and we had reached until Abraham Accords. So Mr. Ali, we were talking about Abraham Accords. Basically what Abraham Accord is, the full normalization deal which was signed between Israel and few Arab countries, which included United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and some other countries. So these countries basically established full diplomatic and strategic relationships with Israel, and they have recognized Israel. So the latest atrocities which Israel have carried out in Palestine, some people are of the view that it is the celebration of Israel which Israel has done in Palestine. So it was very important deal which was signed between Israel and these Arab countries. So it was not a good gesture by these Arab countries, and some diplomatic pressure was also put on Pakistan, but Pakistan clearly denied that Pakistan is not going to recognize Israel.
Yeah, Pakistan, actually, the Palestinians, they are wounded from two sides. They've got wounds of bullets of Israelis on their chest, and they've been backstabbed by these Arab countries, and they're wounded from both sides actually, which is a terrible thing actually. And the role of these Arabs, so-called Arab states, has been terrible when it comes to Israel. They have been supporting Israel secretly before, but now they have actually left. They have openly come to support Israel, and they are accepting Israel. And actually, as Imam Khomeini had said, that Israel is not going to limits itself only to Palestine. It's the borders of Israel are not limited to the actual borders which were initially made but
yes, the actual aim of Zionist regime is to spread throughout the Muslim world, and they want to conquer the whole of the Muslim world. So this point must be kept in view, that the intentions of Israel are not to evict only Palestinians or to control some of its neighboring Arab countries like Egypt and Syria. Rather, they have the aim to control whole of the Islamic world, and it must be kept in view. Rather, going against this point of view, Arab countries have just signed a deal with Prime Minister Netanyahu in the presence of Donald Trump, who brokered this deal. So it is very embarrassing on the part of Islamic countries who have recognized Israel, and credit goes to Pakistan, who have not been part of this deal.
But if Pakistan government, as we know that if they have shown they have condemned Israel in strong words during this whole 2 or 11 or 12 days when the atrocities were being carried out, and they have our Prime Minister and our Foreign Minister here, they have said that we stand with Gaza and we stand with Palestine. But if they really want to do something serious to resolve the issue of Palestine, then they have to make the right
some
strategy.
Practical measures need to be taken here. Yeah. So we will discuss this later on. Now we want to discuss the role of OIC and United Nations Organization, and similarly the so-called Mammoth International Community. Basically, OIC is the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and it was formed in 1969. And it consists of 57 member Muslim states, and the major Islamic states are part of it, which includes Pakistan, Iran, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Turkey. All of these are part, and they are supposed to lead, and they were supposed to lead in this crisis situation when the innocent women and children were being massacred in cold blood. But unfortunately, OIC did nothing for the sake of their Palestinian brothers.
Yeah, we can actually give resemblance of this OIC and the so-called international community to a dead elephant. And as we know that it's really hard. It's actually impossible to awake that dead elephant and expect that dead elephant to become alive and crush that Israel under its feet. Actually, if we know that role of OIC has been terrible. They have never taken any practical stance when it comes to stopping Israel or India in case of Palestine or Kashmir. Yeah.
If we take a look at the history of OIC, it has been formed for almost 5 decades, 52 years, from 69 onwards, and it has been practically unable to solve the major Muslim conflicts like Kashmir and also Palestine. They did nothing when India almost occupied Kashmir, and similarly now for the Palestine. So it is really shameful.
Yeah, and it's actually, if you talk about that Palestine issue, actually it is the third wave of the awakening of the people of Pakistan. We see some sort of even only condemnation or some sort of reaction from Pakistanis.
Yes, rallies were arranged in the solidarity of Palestinian people throughout the country yesterday.
And yesterday was the Solidarity Day for with the Palestinians, and it was marked all over the world. And it's quite we have to think about this thing that actually as compared to previously, because media had the main media outlets, they had done a
Thanks
blackout
to social media.
So social media and the public journalism has given some sort of awareness to the world. We see protests ranging from Sydney, London, Ireland, and all over the world. We are seeing the protests, and we should really thank to the martyrs of Palestine, of Gaza, who have gathered all the Pakistani nation, and we
they
see
have
the voices
basically in the awakening and awareness of
Yeah.
Pakistani people.
Yeah.
Well, talking about other international community, 25 countries, including the so-called super status power country, United States, they basically have defended Israeli atrocities and its bellicosity status, which it has carried out in Palestine. Rather, America and Joe Biden said that Israel has the right of self-defense.
Yeah. So as the German Chancellor, she said that Israel
Similarly,
has got the
German
right
Chancellor and the French ambassadors also said that. But one more thing we are missing out here is the role of United Nations organization. When is it going to play some major role? Or we cannot expect anything from it?
Yeah, actually, United Nations has only played a negative role when it comes to Palestine issue, and they have only been one-sided. We know that Israel came into being with the approval of United Nations, and United Nations has only been playing the role of proxy for implementing the policies of United States.
United Nations is that there are 5 major superpowers. They have the power to veto any resolution, so which is being presented in the assembly. So whenever one of these super status countries like America or other country, they want to refuse or they want to veto, they can. So as we know that Americans stood behind the Israeli atrocities during this conflict, so we cannot expect anything from United Nations organization, and similarly the role of OIC is also very shameful, and other international community, and also those who shouts a lot for the human rights, but they have also been remained silent.
Actually, it's the double standard and hypocrisy of the Western world, because they talk a lot about human rights, but when the matter of Muslim lives comes, we see Israel brutally killing children, women, and they have been bombarding. They have been doing the bombardment on schools. They have nearly decimated 50 schools. They have also pounded the media outlets. They haven't left anything, and also the Red Cross and the hospitals and stuff. But there is only one-sided stance by the Western governments and the United Nations, which is being which is under the influence of these big powers, and United States has got a direct role in this whole scenario. United States actually has been the main supporter of Israel in carrying out all these atrocities.
Yes, during whole of this conflict. But one good thing is that from the Palestinian point of view is that we have seen that in the previous conflicts, when Palestinians were engaged with the Israelis, they used to throw stones on the Israelis. But now we have seen that Hamas has fired more than 4,000 missiles and rockets, and literally Israeli citizens have spent all of these 11 days of wars in their bomb shelters, and they were really scared. So the signs of freedom of Al-Quds and Palestine are very near, because this path of resistance, which is the path of Imam Hussein al-Islam, who is the leader of the freedom. So Palestinians and Hamas have continued this path, and if they move on further this path, the independence of Palestine is very near.
Yeah, and here two important actually things which came in the media after the victory of Hamas. Actually, the Ismail Hania, I was listening to his interview. He thanked Iran for the support during this 12 days war, and he also thanked the Qatar and Egypt for helping in ceasefire. There was no mentioning of Turkey but we see in Pakistani media that they are only highlighting Turkey, that it has taken a good stance
Yes,
into this.
as we know that Turkey is very important Islamic and Muslim country, and it has got military power and is very important strategic country in the region, and it could have played a better role. It should have helped Palestinian brothers, but
they've got
the role
ties with
was not
Israel.
that good.
Turkey has got their embassy in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and Israel has got their embassy inside Turkey. They've got trade relations. They've got the military relations, and
So actually, Palestinians are being stabbed.
Yeah, and it's only media show up, just when it comes to Turkey, because they haven't played any major role in the resolution of the Palestinian issue. If Pakistan really wants to do something serious for solving this issue and the other issues as well, they have to stand with the resistant front, and
Yes, Pakistan must indulge into this new alliance, Pakistan, Iran, and Turkey, and these three countries can play a major role in solving this conflict together with the Palestinian resistant movements like Hamas and Jihad Islami. As we know that now only Iran was supporting Hamas, and they retaliated with more than 4,000 rockets, and Israelis were forced to stop this war. They didn't stop this war willingly. Actually, they had to request for a ceasefire. So if Pakistan and Turkey combine with Iran and some other Muslim countries, importantly like Indonesia, if all of these countries combine, they can better find a solution, and they can help their brothers, and Israel will be eradicated.
And actually, they don't have to even send their troops to Palestine. If they can give arms to them, if they can help them financially, Hamas and Jihad Islami are good enough to tackle Israel. And if our foreign minister, he should have gone to Lebanon and stood up with Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah instead of going to Turkey, who is actually hasn't got any, we haven't seen any major role played by them in this. And he should have stood up with Hassan Nasrallah, and he should have said to Sayyid that we stand with you, and we are there to help you to get rid of this sort of attitude by Israel.
Well, one thing for sure, that Zionist regime is definitely going to be eradicated one day. So we are going to take a short break, and after the break we are going to talk about the solutions of this Palestinian conflict. Stay with us. Welcome back after the break. As you know that we were talking about Palestinian conflict, Mr. Ali, and we have talked about the history and all the major events which happened during these 7 decades. We have also talked about the role of OIC and UNO, and similarly other role of international community which they have played during this 12 days war. Now we want to talk about the solution of this long conflict which has lasted about more than 7 decades. Now, different theories have been presented. One is the two-state solution. Basically, when we look at the demography of Palestine or Israel, it is like that in Gaza there are more than 2 million Muslims, and similarly in Muslims are also in the East Bank, West Bank, and also in East Jerusalem, and some Muslims are also in the Israel, while there are more than 7 million Jews now in Israel. So what is the ultimatum solution to this problem? Some have presented the theory of two-state solution. They say that according to this theory that there must be a state for Jews and there must be a state for Muslims. So do you think is it legitimate for the Jews to have this state in this region?
Well, actually the Palestinians, the actual owners of the land, they consider Israel as an illegal state, and Hamas and other factions, Islamic Jihad and the other factions of Palestinians, they rightly say that the Israel shouldn't exist, and the Jews who migrated from all over the world, especially from Europe, they should migrate back, and evict. They should leave the land for their actual owners, because you know that the Palestinians, they are living a terrible life in the refugee camps in Jordan.
Yes, those Palestinians who are
and they are scattered all over the world.
7 decades ago, they don't have any home.
Yeah, that's
neither
right.
They are Jordanians, neither they are Palestinian. They are in refugees camp and they are living miserable life.
Yeah, and the solution, ultimate solution for this is that actually Israel, as our Imam Khomeini told
yes,
them
Imam
that
Khomeini said that the solution to this problem is spreading awareness among the Muslim Ummah, and a campaign must be started against Israel throughout the Muslim world, because according to Imam Khomeini theory, said that it is less likely that Muslim leaders are going to play a major role, which was right. And it has been proved after 4 decades that there has been much awareness among the Muslim people and Muslim countries, but the role of Muslim leader is not as it should have been. If they were all gathered on the one page, it was just a matter of time that Israelis would have packed up and gone.
Yeah, resistance is the only way to go further, and we have seen the consequences of that. Hezbollah has proved that in the war of 2014, and now it's Hamas and Jihad Islami. They have proved that only Israel understands the language of power. Negotiations are not going to be successful ever, and it's also
because Israel is a terrorist garrison,
and we can't really. There is no guarantee that Israel is going to stop here, and they are, although they have announced that ceasefire, but we saw the shelling of bullets by Israelis already in the Masjid Aqsa after that ceasefire.
After the ceasefire, then they again started there.
And it has been an ongoing issue, and the sad thing is this, that especially our media, in our media, it hasn't been highlighted, and we see only the news when we open a newspaper. Inside the newspaper, there are like small news that Israel has evicted Palestinians of their village, and another settlement has been founded in that.
Yes, there is not even a single day in the history of this Palestine when they have not been evicted from their own homes.
So there should be a
mostly destroy
issue,
villages and then just evict them and form new colonies for the Jews. Another solution is one-state solution, and according to this theory, it is that firstly, Zionist regime must be eradicated, and then a plebiscite must be held in the Palestine, and this plebiscite should include people who are the actual owners of this land. They include Arab Muslims, Palestinian Muslims, and Jews who were part of this land before the migration. And they must decide the form of government which they want to form in Palestine, and after this plebiscite and after this referendum, the fate of foreign settlers, Jews who migrated about 7 decades ago, it must be decided. And I think it is more practical solution.
Yeah, and time has come for the world to realize that this cannot continue anymore, because it's only going to help spread the extremism and a lot of issues in the world. So time has come to resolve the Palestinian issue according to the wills of Palestinians.
Yes, and the eradication of Israel seems near, because if we go back to 60s or 70s, there was once a time when Israel has spread its border towards the Egypt and Lebanon and other Muslim countries, but now it is just limited to Palestine, and a day is near, because the solution to this problem is the path of resistance, the path of Imam Hussain al-Islam, and as the Palestinian Mujahideen and Hamas and Jihad Islami are carrying on this path, and soon we will see the freedom of Palestine and Al-Quds, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah, because the path of Imam Hussain al-Salam is to stand against injustice and to don't give up to the so-called powers who are actually carrying out injustice in the world. And if as we see that although it's not only limited to Shias now, Hezbollahs who are following that path, now we have seen our Sunni brothers, Hamas and Jihad Islami, they have also named actually that sort of effort to Maqama, which is actually the resistance, and inshallah we'll see the results of it very soon.
So the only solution to this problem is the path of resistance, and some major Muslim countries like Pakistan, Turkey and Iran and Indonesia and some Egypt and some neighboring countries, they must also help Palestinian peoples financially, militarily and in other cases, and it will be with the hand of Palestinians themselves. They will make their country free one day, inshallah. So thanks for watching Weekly Roundup. We will carry on next week. Thank you.